What is up, Big Red Nation? Welcome to the Rivalry Week game preview. Huskers, Hawkeyes. It goes down this Friday at 11. Man, you know, I'm going to kind of do this like I talked about the Penn State game, right? We're not going to dive into any stats because stats don't matter in this game. Go back and watch any of the Nebraska-Iowa games from the last, 10, 15 years. Outside of like the first couple games that whenever Nebraska joined the Big Ten, outside of that, it just doesn't matter. Score's been like 13-10, like 3 out of the last 4 years or something like that. And like, it just doesn't matter. I think the only other time it really mattered. Oh, no. No, whenever I was going to say the year that they like went 12-0, but I think that was actually a close game too. They all kind of blend together anymore because they all kind of seem the same. It doesn't matter. It's a rivalry game. And I think we're finally to the first time where I think both teams want to equally beat each other. And I hope to God that's what it is. And, in my last video, the Penn State review show, I mentioned a couple times about how, there's a bunch of teams in the Big Ten that want nothing more to beat Nebraska, and they love doing it. So they rub it in. They always want to run up the score. They'll do whatever they got to do to just kind of really just put it to us. And we don't really do that with any other team, right? Even a lot of the fan base or media, they kind of poo-poo, well, it's not really a rivalry, whenever they talk about any other team in the Big Ten. Yeah, no, there's rivalries. Now, again, you go back to our Big 8, Big 12 years, there were teams that we won a couple decades in a row on. We still considered it a rivalry. Why? Because you play each other every year, right? Why? Because you're closest. Usually, you're pretty close together, in close proximity to each other. All those things. So, here's the one thing that I will say whenever it comes to stats that I am worried about, and the Penn State game really made me worried about it, was the fact that, guys, all they do is run. They cannot throw. Now, maybe hopefully that means that Nebraska will beef up and really concentrate on the run and be able to defend it a lot better. I don't know. But I thought that going into the Penn State game, and our rush defense looked really bad. Now, they've got 3 decent running backs. They don't have like that Caleb Johnson or, kind of one of those type of running backs that are just really a big standout. But they got 3 pretty good running backs. And then that's not even including Gronowski. Gronowski's a good runner. He's not a good thrower. So if we can really force him to throw the ball, that's our best chance. But the way that we try to force Grunkemeyer from Penn State to throw the ball, he went 11-12 for 187 yards. So I don't know. I really don't know what to think about how this defense can attack Iowa's offense. Because again, their Iowa's offense is not something to, write home about. They struggled last week against Michigan State. We're down 17-0 at one point, 17-7, and then ended up winning 20-17 or whatever it was. Right? Ended up tying it late, got the ball back somehow late, and then kicked the field goal and won it 20-17. Iowa's always going to be what Iowa is, right? They're the type of team that will struggle, look like a terrible, terrible team. But then by the end, all of a sudden you look up and you're like, how are they tied with us? Or how'd they just get the lead? I mean, go back to our game last year against Iowa. We dominated that game, except for getting points on the board, which allowed them to stay in. And what was the final score? 13-10. It's going to be, I think, very important to get off to a very fast start. If we can get up 14-0, 17-0, 17-3, something like that, within like the first quarter and a half, that's going to be very important because I don't think that they have the offense to get them back into the game. But then what that means is our special teams And our offense, then for the rest of the game, can't allow a big play to happen. Don't ever punt to Wheatgen. Okay, don't do that. That's how you let them right back in the game out of nowhere. They can move the ball nowhere on offense. And then all of a sudden, because their defense is really good, they've kept you to only like 10 or so points. Then, boom, you made a mistake by punting or kicking off to Wheatgen or whoever their big return guy is, because they usually have at least one really good return guy almost every year. All of a sudden, boom, they're gone. Touchdown. Now they have a special teams touchdown, right? Special teams in this game, that is, it's always a key to winning, but it's even more important because really that's how Iowa lives and dies on staying in a game. They know their defense is going to be stout, but their offense really doesn't move the ball well. So if they can catch, I like to call them a cheap big play and get a score, get a good special team score, boom, they're right back in the game. Now their offense has only got to do one little thing for you and then kick a field goal and win. So it's imperative that our special teams does not make any mistakes. Do not kick off or punt to their return guy. I know we have a really good return coverage team. We've only allowed going into the Penn State game, I think we only allowed 1 return yard on us all year. And that's fine. I'm not saying don't trust it or don't have the faith in your guys. I'm just saying, especially if depending on how this game is going, just don't. The last thing you can do is give Iowa any opportunity. You just can't. But I think even more than the X's and the O's, what the defense can do, what the offense can do, what special teams should or shouldn't do, I really think going into this game, it's got to be about the mindset. The mindset of going in and acting like this is a true rivalry. Like, hate these guys. Now, not like hate, on a personal level, but as a program, as a team, hate them. Go out there and do everything you can to beat them. That's all that should matter on Friday, is beating Iowa at any means necessary. Do it however you can. Pour every last ounce of your energy and body and passion and blood and sweat and tears and all that stuff into this game. That should be the only thing on every player's mind. Go out there. Don't shake their hands again. Don't shake their hands. They made such a big deal about it last year. I wouldn't do it. I would not do it again. Or I would go out there and shake their hands, but make it such a big deal that we're shaking your hands that it's like more of like a mockery about it. And just get back in their heads. Play the mind games. Go in there and just do it. Talk some shit. Get fired up. I want to see some chippiness. Don't be cheap about it, but I want to see some chippiness. Let's make this game mean something. And let them know that you're not going to get bullied around, that you're not going to take their crap. You're not going to listen to them, boo, they didn't shake our hands. None of that. Don't let any of that happen. Be the aggressor. Be the guy that's going to sit there and go, no, watch out, because guess what? We're coming back, and we're going to start making you guys our little brothers. That's what's going to happen starting with today's game. It's going to be cold, have maybe a little bit of sleet out there. It's going to be windy. It's going to be an ugly game. It's going to be a very ugly game. But play into it. Play into the fact that it's going to be a very ugly game. This is a very important game too. 8-4 looks a lot better than 7-5. And there's it's gonna be very interesting to see how TJ plays in this game. Hopefully he has a nice bounce back from last week, even though it's not like he had a terrible game, but he had a lot of throws that were just very, very errant and all over the place and shooting up high where nobody was even close to being able to catch anything. There were times in that game where he looked not shook, but a little bit of a deer in the headlights, true freshman type thing. Luckily it is at home, so maybe he'll feel a little more comfortable. And actually that's outside of the, second half of the USC game where I didn't feel like they really gave him much of a shot to do anything in that game. This is really going to be the first game that he's really going to be the guy in at home. So hopefully he's, they're ready to go, prepared. Hopefully they've got a good game plan on offense and defense, because I do feel like they've got to change something up for this game if we're going to go out there and win. But like I talked about in that Penn State episode as well, whenever we come out in games like we did against Penn State, we've always followed it up with a pretty good performance and a rebound effort. So I'm hoping that trend keeps going, obviously. That would be great. And I don't know. At the end of the day, I do believe that because that has been the trend, and I'm going to believe that going into this game, that we are going to come out and have a much better performance than what we had obviously last week. There is part of me that, like I said, it worries me a little bit, and I could see this game kind of getting away from us, much like the Penn State game did. That part is in my head. That does worry me. But it's rivalry week, right? I'm not going to go into this game thinking it's going to happen. It's rivalry week. It is the game of the year. It's Iowa. We got to come out guns blazing. And I think we will. I really do. I do think we will. I think we will come out with a lot of emotion. It's senior day. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just think it's going to be a big deal. And, I think, man, if I had to sit here and predict right now, which I guess I kind of do, right? It's kind of the whole point of me right here. Let's go Nebraska. 17, Iowa 13. I think Nebraska pulls this out. And here's my little I guess side prediction, right? An oddly specific one. The difference in this game, what's going to give us the 17, and I'm not saying like, I don't know when it'll happen, but I'm not saying like it's going to be the game winning, but like what's really going to give us that 17th point is going to be Nebraska returns either a punt or a kickoff for a touchdown. That's what I think will happen. And then we win, and then we're off to probably Tampa, I guess, probably to that bowl game. Probably going to play an SEC team. That'll be a fun bowl game. And hopefully we'll pull out a W there too. And then we can be 9-4 on the year. And then maybe we think about this season a little different. But I think it's huge, and I think it's very important that not only do we win this game because we need to finally beat Iowa and get on this winning side in this matchup, but then also, like I said, win the bowl game because we need some momentum. We need some momentum to really gain any kind of traction, I think, in this year's transfer portal and get the type of athletes that I think we need to get in here. And those certain spots, which I already went over again in that last episode, on the different type of players that we need and the level of players that I think we need to go after. So yeah, and that's coming up in January. It'll hit after the bowl game. So can't wait to, that all that stuff start popping off and get on here and really kind of have good conversations about that. But I'm going to make this one kind of short. One thing I did want to touch on, I guess, before I get on out of here, is the report from CBS Sports. I think it's Chris Hammer, I think, that put that out. I don't know if he's the one reporting, but he's definitely the one that I saw from on X that the rumors are going around that Nebraska is preparing for Dylan to enter the transfer portal. Now, I saw that and I went, okay, whatever. Like, this happened last year too, right? Like, there was all this rumors and, oh, is Dylan going to leave? Is he not? Whatever. Now, I never went in and read it, but I saw a lot of the comments of people that did go and read the article, and they were like, this is clickbait. Everything that he talks about in the article is all like speculative. There's zero facts on anything. It's not like he's heard anything. There's no sources. So it's just kind of one of those kind of articles where they're kind of using speculation as fuel to write an article. And if that's the case, like I'll believe it whenever Dylan comes out and announces that he's entering the transfer portal. But I think I mentioned that before too. How many teams are going to go out there and pay him the millions of dollars or whatever that he's going to be asking for? With a broken leg, right? A broken fibula. Like, there's so many variables that can happen in that recovery, and you're just going to be willing to, I don't see a team doing that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there are. Maybe some teams are desperate. I don't know. But at the end of the day, if he does leave, he leaves. Because here's the thing. Whether it's Dylan himself putting this out there, or like, him, his family, or whatever, or it's just speculative rumors because writers know that they can get a bunch of hits from Nebraska fans on their articles. Doesn't matter to me. The fact that now we've had 2 seasons in a row of these rumor things of like Dylan could go somewhere else, man, I'm kind of over it. And that kind of goes into this whole overall experience of the Dylan Raiola experience that I mentioned several videos back, kind of piggybacking off of what Josh Peterson had talked about on one of his podcasts with him and Jack Mitchell on the I-80 Club. And just kind of, okay, that's another thing that just kind of makes this whole experience be exhaustive. And just, like, I'm over it. I want a quarterback that's going to be here and wants to be here and not want to leave just because. Like, I don't know. And I'm not saying that's what Dylan is doing himself, but I'm just gonna, again, it's the overall thing. Again, the rumor mill can be the rumor mill. Dylan could shut it down like right away and just come out and be like, look, I see some of these rumors of these articles. I think this is crap. They should be ashamed of themselves for just putting this stuff out. It's absolutely false. They're just speculating. I don't know why they're doing this. This is where I'm at. I love it here. This is my home. This is my family's home. My dad's name's up in the stadium. I'm not going anywhere. We're gonna get this program back to where it needs to be. But he hasn't really said anything. So who knows? I mean, it just came out today, and maybe even Rule or somebody could be like, look, just don't feed into it. Keep, just let them all talk. That doesn't matter. No need to feed into it because it could just bring more backlash if you call an article or a writer out or whatever. But we'll see. We're gonna know pretty soon. Here in like a week is signing day. So, not that I think the Dayton Raiola stuff is a package deal. I never thought that they were a package deal. I think it was just more of the Raiola's love for Nebraska, so why not bring them here? And I think, but if he does, if all of a sudden Dayton signs on signing day with another Power 4 school that he had never had offers from before, that might give you a little bit of a hint into something. Because like I said, Nebraska was his only Power 4 school offer. I think he had 2 other like really small Group of 5 or FCS level offers. So if all of a sudden it's like he commits to Georgia or Miami or something like that, maybe there's something to it. But I don't know. We'll find out soon enough. My most concern and concentration is on this Iowa game and the players that are in this uniform on that field wearing the N on their helmet. Outside of that, we can get to that during the off season. But anyway, guys, sorry, gonna make this a quick one. Get to Friday. Let's have some fun. Go Big Red, baby, always.